You just have to wait till the cycle pushes it back around again. Good morning, Bones. Glad you can make it. Um, also, just an early heads up, the 31st, I believe, is another Wednesday somewhere down the road. I will not be streaming on that day. I have another dental appointment. For those of you that have been keeping up, I've been having some issues with some fillings, and um, long story short, I've still got some work on this side to be done, and then this one's probably going to have to just get extracted, period, because it's in worse shape than the other one. I'm on antibiotics because this one's gone into like an infection, and it's been a headache. So for someone who hates going to the dentist, I'll probably end up having to go 5 or 6 times in altogether. So it's not a joy for me, and I've been stressing over it. And so thankfully, things have kind of mellowed out. My jaw still hurts because I just went a couple of days ago for a little bit of work. But I won't be going in again until the 31st, so I have to wait and see how that goes. But just a heads up that the 31st I will be definitely not streaming that week because I'll be going under the knife, so to speak, or the drill. Excuse me. But for all other times, it should be an okay thing. So we'll see how it goes. Um, I think that's all for the announcement stuffs. For those of you that, again, regularly attend, you might notice the overlay is different now. I've been updating all the graphics on Twitter and YouTube and forums and everything. I was the fortunate recipient to a freebie graphic from Hexabel, uh, and she generously offered a beautiful chibi of my in-game character, Carrot. So I've been updating all of that. I hope it looks okay. It's just, I couldn't resist using it. I made sure I could get her permission to update everything with the new graphics. So yeah, I think it's adorbs, so I couldn't resist using it and hope you guys like it too. You can see it really good on the offline graphic for Twitch, but of course, since I'm online, that's not showing. But yeah, it was a real treat. It was a surprise kind of thing. It was a giveaway she was doing, and I was lucky enough to be one of the winners of that. So much thanks to Hexibel on that. Okay, so looks like it's already a little after 8, so we'll go ahead and get started. Again, this is the Crimson Dawn community plot. I don't know if this is a collaborative work for multiple players or if it's just one player with multiple alts. Either or is possible. So as I'm going through, we'll be mentioning the characters. Well, if I remember to look at them. I will, of course, list it in the video description, each character for that's listed here. But again, I don't know if it's the alts of someone or if it's actual separate individuals. I do know Seraphim Blades is one of them. That's a name you're probably familiar with if you run through the official forums. They've done several works in the past that we've checked out. So they may be part of these on here. I haven't actually gone through the entire community yet myself, so we'll discover that as we go, I guess. This is a plot. The way I gather, it's a giant ship, and all of the plots are interconnected sections of that ship. And you'll understand what I mean as we get started. There is access to the outside, which we're going to show first. And then we're just going to go through each section of the ship itself. We'll try to get around at least 2, maybe more, 2.5 plots, possibly 3 in today, and then we'll finish up tomorrow. Because I suspect, just from what I saw yesterday when I was kind of given a sneak peek for myself, getting situated with it, it's pretty detailed, so it's probably going to take us a while to get through it all. Okay, so as it is, if you're not familiar with the communities yet, it's basically a new feature for WildStar housing where 5 individual plots are linked up onto a single larger plot. You get a lot of extra building area between and around the individual plots. I forget how much decor count you're allotted for that community or communal space. I think I honestly don't remember what they said. Um, but you get like a community crate, and then everybody that has access to the roommate rights or whatever is able to access it and build. Excuse me. I'm sorry. I don't know what's bugging me. I think it's the weather. Anyway, so again, the trick of putting these communities together is if you don't build it from scratch as a whole cohesive thing, then you're having to kind of blend in different types of plots and themes into a single uh, structure. And those spaces in between and around are there to help uh, meld them together. It's a way for you to transition between each one. We've seen some do that via landscaping. This one's a little bit more, uh, again, I hate to use the word simplified, but it's a little more basic because it's basically you're walking around inside the ship. So you have corridors. They have them cleverly labeled so you know which one you're getting ready to go into, and it's a little easier to navigate, I think, as opposed to just the wild jungle type, and then you might have little nooks and crannies between trees and not sure if you're on the right path and blah, blah, blah. So you can see they're using a lot of those Dominion-themed barriers, walls, pillars, and such. There's also, I think, some from the street curb package that you can get off of the cash shop. So I'm not going to go into detail about the names of each of those. I don't really purchase too many cash shop decor kits, so I don't really pay attention to those too much. But you can see they're using it pretty steadily as the main structure items. Good morning, Poi. Glad you could make it. Excuse me, I am like dying out here. Ugh. Trying to keep my whistle wet so I don't gag on everything. So as I said, you can see you've got these really big, massive, and when I say massive, I'm not just talking about the length of them, but also like the space. I mean, I think as a fellow builder pointed out, it's like Osun could walk through here and not touch the ceiling because it's just so big. Uh, I'm sure it's just an aesthetic. It just looks nice the way it is. It doesn't feel crammed and packed like some of the uh, ship interiors that we visited before. So they can go a little all out as far as the size goes. It doesn't really bother me too much. So yeah, but here's an example of the signs that you'll be seeing throughout. They're using hover part pieces for the lettering, and then those colored screens you can get as a pack kit that has multiple colors to indicate that this is section A, or I think it's called alpha section or something. And then you got like this one set up. Here's an example of all the different colors you can get: blues, yellows, reds, all that. Um, like a billboard kind of setup here. And then you can further down, you can see that there's another, the B section, and so on and so forth. Excuse me, I am so sorry. But first we're going to take a look at the outside so that I don't forget to visit it. It's something easily overlooked if you're not paying attention. And I want to extend a thanks to Siskwi for mapping it out for me. She went in earlier in the week and wrote down a little quick guide for me to figure out how to get there. So we're going to visit that first, look at the exterior of the ship, and then we'll come back and take a look through the interior bits. So you can see it's located in Section C, the Charlie Wing. I think I'm going right. Make sure. Leave it to me to get it messed up again. Yeah. So you can see it's like these little teleporter elevator type things, and it gives you the down and up arrows. And we're just gonna, and it just pops you out, and voila, you're outside. And I will mention, as far as I could tell, it's the low grav fab kit that they're using to behave as the elevator or the teleporter. And as far as I could tell from the last time I come here, you maintain that weird little floaty buff, the low grav buff, and until you pass by there again. I don't know why it's that way. It's just a fun little thing. So constantly while you're out here, you'll have that low gravity effect, which is kind of fun if you think about it. But yeah, I'm gonna try and not look at the sky too much because these moving skies tend to give me a little bit of motion sickness. And warning to anyone that might have similar issues, just to kind of try not to look at it too long. But you can see it's set up with graded floor panels and some of the engine spaceship parts that you can get. There's, I think this is one of those, it's either Far Side or some kind of Ichthian or something lamp, uh, more ship pieces, some of the antennas from the ship stuff. Out here they have the reinforced walls and a couple more of the ship pieces, I think, behaving as weaponry. I think it's just two or four walls sandwiched together to make it look like a cannon of some sort. As far as I can tell, there's not much else out here other than, you know, the indication that there's cannons and stuff. But you can see how you notice that you're shifting from plot to plot as you go above them. Ugh, I hate looking at that sky. It's just awful. There's an oversized emblem. Again, antennas for like the side guns in the front. Over here you can see a little sneak peek of interior for, I guess this would be the bridge. And then over here you can actually pass through this lasered doorway entry into another section, but I figure we'll get to it visiting it from the interior elsewhere. If not, I'll come back out and we'll take a look, but I'll show you how you can go straight through. I don't know what lights these are, if it's just a regular light and then they change the color of it so I don't recognize it. But most of these lights here, those are the red moon lights or lamps or whatever they call them. It's the ones that don't actually give off light, but they're so bright they kind of seem that they do. I'm going to try and not pass through this. So you can actually go through this as well and land down in here, but you can see kind of a sneak peek of what's coming. So this is like where the ships would come in and out. The extra little animation that's from those portable holographs. It's the really long one. People like to use it for refrigerators and scanner, like if they want to pretend like a certain room is like a decontamination thing or something, that's what they'll use for that. Now, I don't think I can get back down to the other level from here because this is a solid object rather than like an empty doorway. So if you do come up here, you'll be stuck. Unless you go through that way, which we don't want to do just yet. So I'm just going to use my return to teleporter button, and that should send me back to the original place where we started. And then we can start looking at the individual areas, plots, sections, whatever you want to call them. So we're going to start with A. Oh, is that what the lights come from? The little spaceship pack. Okay, good information. Again, I haven't really acquired any of the newer stuff, so I don't really pay attention too much. Okay, so we're in the Alpha Wing by Cardinal Valence, I think is the name. And we're just going to start going into different spaces. Hopefully I don't miss any as we go through. This one appears to be some type of vendor. I don't know if there was a sign supposedly outside. Yeah, it's like advertising the shop here. So it looks like a general store. A lot of detail as far as having to add all of these individual items in. That's a lot of decor count used up just in this little store. Again, it's the Red Moon lights. You can see some of the graded floor panels. This is one of those Winterfest WildStar shells. Some of that new decor, the skirt and the mannequin. There's probably some masks and stuff around as well. I think it's Vigilant, or yeah, Vigilant skirt or something like that. Pillars for some of this. Red Moon bars used for the countertop. Here's a nice idea for clothing if you're looking for hanging clothes. I've seen some go to the extent of actually color shifting these to give them even more variety, as if they're robes or cloaks or whatever being hung up. And then here you can see some of the examples of different actual clothing items that are in game. There's those vigilant masks I was talking about. Then you've got the judge hats, all color shifted, same way with the shirts. Towels. These come from the summer decor pack, I think it is. A little bit of weaponry here. Foods. Okay, so that's the first little shop. And this is very reminiscent of the starter area where we're on like the ship and getting ready to decide where we're going to port down to the actual planet. That's what it reminds me of anyway. You can see they're using a lot of the hedges, the portable planters for a little bit of plant relief there. The Macari pillars. Look at this fountain here. It's the actual fountain, and then they've added the waterfalls, which is a big fave of folks to do. But again, it's a lot of pieces to make it look this nice and neat. Some just do a few streams coming down and leave the rest. Okay, let's go this way. I think this leads to the Osun house, which is the actual structure, the prefab home. Again, if you cover up the entrance, it tends to, you can get to it from here, or you can go all the way up to it and click it. Again, a lot of Macari and like this stuff here. Those are the Dominion benches. They like the texture, I think, of the metal and the gold trim and everything. So they're using that in a lot of it. And then you can see the Macari parts. These are the chairs. I think it's the back of it, if I remember right. And then these are some of the pillars, and then again the benches and stuff for a lot of the wall work in here. The ceiling, the little arched bit, those are the not the fancy bar, the I can't think of the word. Not cozy. Uh, I'm sure one of you will figure it out. Let's go to the left here first. So here's another little water feature. This one they got it a little bit more snug. There's not too much of a gap between the waterfalls. Yeah, it's really cute. It looks like domes that they're using for the base of the bowls. And like you can almost see that this one's just basically floating above the other one. Charming bar, there we go. I knew it started with a C, something like that. And I like how they added the lop jug to make it look like she's pouring it out. Again, some of those chairs, the Dominion chairs, being used as table stands for the candles. This here, I think, is that one banner that has the long ribbon banner underneath, and it has the wings of the other thing on top. I think that's what this is. But again, charming bars for the ceiling here. And this is, again, a Macari chair for that patterned floor. Amazing work and being able to mesh all of these items up in such a way to make it look like that's just how it came. But again, you're going to get that green interactable feature because it's interactable items, the chairs and the benches and things. The red drapes there. So here we come into looks like an office. Got a wine rack here, which I love. It's all 2x4s and staircase landings with looks like Merv dynamite for the handles this time. For the desk, it's a combination of the Dominion conference table and then I think it's ornate chest. It's the one that a lot of people like to use for bank doors or bank safes because on the one side it has the big golden wheelie gig on the front. Yeah, there's the banner that has those little blue wings that I think is being used for that bit outside, and they're just got the banner part showing here. Again, just crazy how you can put something together. I mean, these are benches that they're using as part of the building work. Here's, I guess it's like a church type of setup. You've got the organ here. I'm sitting inside now, apparently. That's the danger of having these weird ways of using the interactables. You never know where you're going to end up. I still have the high jump, so it's a little hard for me to maneuver, but there you go. There's a bit of a better close-up of the organ here. You've got Chua cups for these buttons up here. I think it's books for the keys, like the blue book for the dark keys and one of the other books for the others. The pipes are the wind chimes. Rusty wind chime, I think is the name of it. They're just oversized, make good for pipes. It's got holes in it already, so it works really nice for that feel. On this side, we have candle area where people can come and light a candle for a loved one. Then, of course, you have the benches themselves, or the pews, if you want to call them that. It's a combination of uh, Dominion benches. You've got the Dominion scanners, I think, is part of it. The big screen part is down in the floor, so you can't see that, but this is like the top or bottom edge, depending on how you're looking at it. And then this part here is part of that same banner that we saw in the office. Just the banner part is down inside, I think. And then for the seating, it's all these individual stools laid on top. And of course, you have the pulpit area. I don't know the name of this item here that they're using for the actual pulpit thing itself, but it's used quite a bit. Same way with this bit here. It's some of the Dominion pieces. I honestly don't know. You can see they've got some of the newer. I don't know if you guys heard that. That's my phone going off. Um, some of the newer. Oh, what's it called? Stained glass windows. I think it comes as a set from the cash shop, if I remember rightly. Um, uh, we have the one that has always been used because that was the only one we had, and now they've given us access to all the others. So you're going to see this and some of the others in other places used as like wall murals. They just oversize it and cover up the edges and stuff. But you can see those banners again. It's the same thing they're using for the backs of the pews and stuff. Um, but yeah, I don't know the names of all of these pieces, emblems and banners and things like that. I just know they're Dominion themed because most of the Dominion stuff has got that gold trim, and if that's the theme you're going for, that's going to be what you stick with. There's a little bit of Eldon stuff too with the green, but primarily it's Dominion, Dominion. But here you have another little offering plate. Again, Dominion bench, and this is, I think, either a Macari pillar or some other item, but it's that theme. Little foyer here. Now, I think this is either supposed to be like a bathroom or just the way it's set up, it almost looks like a changing room of some sort. Or maybe it's a confessional thing. I'm not really honestly sure what it's supposed to be like because I mean you can actually see into the other, so maybe it's like a confessional. I honestly don't know. But you know, I thought it was a bathroom at first when I come in, but then there's like no toilet sink stuff going on, so I don't know how it works. I guess it's supposed to be more like a confessional. That's the more I look at it, that's what it reminds me of. But it's using a lot of the Oriental or exotic decor. You got the dividers and the cabinet and the tables and such. But again, they're sticking heavily to that gold uh, decoration. There's that emblem in total. You got the wings and the flag part. Yeah, the more I look at it, it's got, I guess maybe the priest would sit here and then on either side they'd get someone to confess themselves or something. I don't know. Again, this is the arched ceiling is the charming bars, and then I think on the sides it's books just by looking at the texture. It could be something else and it's just been color shifted. I honestly am not for positive on that, but here's an example of the oversized stained glass windows being used as kind of like murals on the walls. Down we go. Again, different ones. And then here we have a kind of archive where they have some of their precious relics and such. Again, I think this is part of the street curb pack for these blocks here, or it could be part of the decor for the Dominion structures that came with the walls and the archways and pillars and such. Honestly, don't know for sure. But it's just simply, I mean, if you don't have access to this particular bit, you can just use the ends of the pillars, or use like hover part pieces. Those would probably work too as a base, just as an example. And of course, these particular ones are using the framed glass to box it in to show off some of their collectibles. Here we have a little library. Now notice the way they've got the bookshelf set up. I think it's an actual the regular bookshelf, the filled one, and then they've put the empty Dominion style over top of it. So I think it's a wooden bookshelf with this over top, so it looks like it's metal. I don't think someone would be crazy enough to go through and insert all these books themselves, and it's so uniform for the most part that I think that that's what they've done, is just inset one inside the other to make it look like it's a filled Dominion style bookshelf. They've added a few things like this bit here, little lock chests. I think they've added some of these just to make it look a little bit different, but yeah, I think that's what they've done. And I think that's clever because if you want, well, in some respects, you can kind of go crazy with a lot of details for certain things. Things like this, it's better to find kind of a quickie way of filling it up with, you know, not exactly cheating, but it's like a hack to make it look like you work to get it filled up, and really it's just another item inset into the original one. And I think it's a clever use of the two, combine it in that way. Excuse me, over another drink. So on we go to the rest of the exhibits. It's a great way to show off unusual items that you can't figure out what to do with anywhere else. Over here we have a sort of like a crypt or sarcophagus or mausoleum. I don't know what you would call it. But I'm trying to think what this is. I honestly don't know what they're using for the stone here. It looks like it might be, I really don't know. It's something that's actually stone, because just based on the texture, it seems to be that way. It could be some of those crypts, and then they've just got a part of it showing. I really have no idea what that is. It looks familiar, but I couldn't place. These might be some of the headstones. That could be what it is too, is maybe some of the Shades Eve headstones that they've got in oversized certain parts and you're only seeing bits of it. Couldn't say for sure. And some more special bits. And then like a little VIP room or reading room or meeting room, one of those. You've got the exotic table being used for the coffee table here, the orange comfort chairs with stools being used as pillows for that. I thought was kind of fun. I think these have been color shifted to be more red to match the pillows. The fireplace is probably the biggest feature that I like to point out. It's the bookshelf being used as the mantle part. Then they got some of the thorny logs. I don't know what exactly is being used for this part back here, but it still looks nice. And then the fire, it's one of those multicolor ones. Again, there's fire and smoke packs for those that enjoy adding interactable or uh, animated effects. You get a smoke pack and it comes with several individual colored smokes, and then they've got this one that's multicolored as well. Gives a little bit of a magical feel. Mystical, magical, one of those. And then we don't want to forget the center part here. A nice overview of the individual stained glass windows that you can get. These I think are the Dominion chairs, the same ones that you were using for the candle bits before. And these are some of their prized, super prized relics. Ones that I think some of them are designed themselves, like this weird little pearl thing. I think it's the massive ocular sphere. I think it's two of them sandwiched together, so you just see the backs. And then they've recolored it to be this silver pearl thing. And then they've got the charming bars, the same thing they're using for the vaulted ceilings in some of the area, as a kind of a band around it. And then those banners. And then it's got one of those moving, the buoyant crystals popping out the top. This one here, this cross of swords, I think it's a regular sword, like the broadsword, and then they've decorated it with those banners. The same thing that's sticking out the top here for the wings. It's the same item, and they've just used it a little differently for this pair of crossed broadswords. Over here, they decorated up the well, this part here is the grimoire, I think is the name of the book, but they've added the graded floor panels to the back and front, and then a Dominion emblem to just dress it up a little different. So they've made their own grimoire version. Over here, again, they've kind of made their own sword. You can see there's a couple of pillars that's been twisted to make it look like a column or the handle of the sword. That same banner that they use for the markings on this one, part of it, the handle here. And I forget what this emblem thingy is called. I really don't know what these parts are. And then of course the regular emblem. It looks like they're using some, the red might be from Exile Walls, kind of what it looks like. And then this part here, I think is the Datascape window. It's kind of what it reminds me of. Over here, it looks like a special staff or something. Again, that emblem thing, I don't know the name of. And then this part, I think, is one of the, either it's a lamp or a post, fence post or something. Cassian something, I think. And it's also being used for the base of this one. This part here, I think it's the thing that I call the Draken pillow, the Draken shield. I think it's the thing that looks like it's spiky on the side when it's really not. And they've just used multiples to give it a solid shape. So it looks like a mace or something. But again, the banner, the buoyant crystal, and so on and so forth. So some nice customized artifacts. Using the stairs as a book holder. Thought that was kind of funny. Excuse me. Okay, back up. And I think that's all for the interior of the prefab home that's on this particular plot. Or Alpha Wing. Notice they even went through the trouble making this little symbol here. The detail is just outstanding. And you can see the vaulted ceilings with the charming bars. Most of us don't even bother get into that kind of decoration. We just flat roof all the way. This is a museum part. Come to the front here. I like how they're using the garage-themed dressers to make it look like pockets of like, you know, you go to a museum and you have like a little pamphlet that kind of gives a description of thing, or maybe it's a map of the place or some such little collectible you can grab. And then you have the artwork itself. Again, the lighting, I don't think the red moon lights actually give off any light, so if there's any kind of actual spotlight going on, it's probably a hidden orange sconce or some such for that effect. Because like here, it looks like it's pretty brightly lit, and you can see how there's some light going on here. But again, I don't think it's coming from there. It's probably from a hidden bit here, like this one is part spotlight shining. Unfortunately, I don't remember who all made these, so I can only, you know, say kudos to them for a beautiful piece of work. But as far as I understand, the owner of this plot has just gone around or have been offered uh, copies of the artwork to show off in their gallery. So it's not necessarily their work. Some of it might be. I had messaged them yesterday to see if I could get a quick response to kind of mention names and stuff, but unfortunately it was probably too last minute for that, so I didn't get a response on that. But you can see like this part here where it looks like marble, I think that's like the tops of the Dominion conference table, and then some of the walls and stuff are like edges of walls. Um, all of the wall trims have different textures. There's some that looks like metal, some that look like wood, and I think that's a combination of these. And then the lion and stuff, of course. This reminds me of something that Aurora put together, so that might be one of her works, but I hate to definitively say because I can't remember. I know she's made several lion portraits like this, but I don't know if this is the exact one. Um, but it's supposed to be like these little emblems here are like a description of the work or maybe the artist's name. Obviously, we can't do that directly, but all it is the trophy, the gear trophy, and it's the base of it. So the trophy part is like down inside. But stones for the lion, for example, and then you've got trees and tufts of grass for the savanna, and then even tufts of grass for his mane and stuff. It's kind of hard to get up close because, again, I'm still stuck with that high gravity bit, so it's kind of hard to get in there. There you go. Over here we have a little lovey-dovey thing with like the hugels. The vines, I'm trying to remember what those are. I think it's just dead logs, multiples of those to make the twirligig, and then they've added a few of the orany vines, forget what they're called, to kind of green it up a little bit. The moon, I think, is a dome, Granox style, and then the starry sky is the space diorama thing. The big fave, especially for those that are trying to give like an indoor, to make it look like an outdoor, they'll stick it up on the ceiling, oversized, and it looks like a night sky. I want to say this is either a uni or flower, maybe? I'm really not sure. I've seen it and I just didn't go back and take a closer look. Here's a Jack Skellington portrait I thought was kind of cute. Um, I think the shirt is like the edges of wall pieces. I think his buttons are the ends of pillars, and then like a 2x4 for his neck, and like plate bottoms for his eyes, and then the wall edges again for the stitched up mouth and nose and such, and then another dome for his face. Pretty creepy, creepy looking. Over here we have a little display of a hover bike, I guess is what it'd be called. Again, we've seen many variations of hover bikes and other types of vehicles, and it just goes to show, again, you could probably use the same items, give two sets of people the same exact items, they put together a vehicle, and then it won't look the same. But this one's got that, again, I don't know what this thing is called. It's a Dominion piece, but I'm not sure what the name of it is. But you can see like suitcases all through here. You've got a Merg explosive. You got the tires, of course. Here for the hover part is the portable holograph. It's the round one. It's the really long banded one. Domes here. You've got the curved glass for the shield part. It looks like a Chua desk for part of this little getup, and then Chua pillows for the seat cushions. I can see a bit of hover part pieces. The kickstand is a hammer. Looks like a reinforced wall down in here for part of the gut. So it's a cute thing. It'd be awesome if we could like create our own and then actually have it rideable at some point. But yeah, wishful thinking. This one here you might recognize. This is one of mine. I was just playing around with trying to get the skies and stuff to look different using layered glass. If I get really close, you might can see how there's quite a few layers of glass. It was a pain to work with as far as placement of items, to have some in the foreground and some in the background, and have them look some more frosted and faded and that kind of thing. But the mountains are the frozen water. Same way with back here. Now these you could pretend that they're also mountains, or you could pretend that they're clouds or mist. Trying to remember what all I used on this thing. There's some of those green mossy clumps. I have no idea what I'm using for the buildings. I think it's the metal desks, or no, metal tables, and these little things sticking up like antennas are the legs of the tables. I think that's what I used. And then for the pathway, it's just stones. I just tilted it so you just see the edge. But there's like a little house or Asian building up at tippy top, and then down here, and then a couple on this part here. For the waterfall, it's just I think it was icicles for that. And then I trimmed it in a frame of books. Just I was again experimenting with a lot of different elements, trying to figure out what would be nice for framework, rather than always using 2x4s and such as like I started out with. This one again, I don't remember who did this, but I think it's a homage to an actual painting called Sunflowers or something. And they used a combination of the blossom plants and the yellow flowers. And then this here is one of those Draken tribal urns, I think. The backs here, I think it's books, but I'm not for positive. It could be just walls that are slanted a little bit and recolored, and then 2x4s for the framework. And then this one here is another one of mine. Probably one of my favorites. It looks a little different from the original. It's one of those things when you make a painting like this, depending on the lighting, how far it's pushed into the wall that it's placed on, the back part where the mountains and stuff are can change a little bit. And some of the shadows are a little different. I've got a picture of it on my Twitter somewhere, but basically it was a painting that I saw on while Googling, and I made my own version of it. So it may look familiar to some if they're familiar with that particular painting, but there's like a river running through, and then there's some waterfalls here. Again, it's obsidian stone for the rocks here. This part here is all trees, and then those mossy bushes again. And then back here, it's just brambles to make it look, because I was trying to, again, I was experimenting with perspective and how things fade off as it goes back. Because again, you can see I've used multiple layers of glass. And then the mountains and such are those frozen lakes again, I think. Or it could be, I might have gotten a hold of some of those Arctera formations. I think this one in particular is one of those. So it's one or the other. And then the waterfalls again are the icicles I played around with. Again, you can see kind of the messiness it is as you go to the side. These are always meant to be looked at straight head on. So, but yeah, I think the wall or the framework is Draken walls, because I liked the texture, the color of it. So yeah, just again, me playing around with perspective and such. This one, again, I can't remember who made some of these, but it's supposed to be the Doctor Who, I think it's TARDIS. The moving bits, those are the clocks. So that's why you get kind of a weird motion going on. Some of these are asteroid bits. I think that's a dome. And again, you've got that night sky space diorama, and then the added animation of like that misty look that's coming from those holograph pieces, probably the long ones because it spans quite a ways. Before that, we had to use the bottoms of the hovering medical cots for that kind of effect. For the TARDIS itself, it's the graded floor panels for the top and the bottom, and I suspect for the interior here, Cassian pillars, and then the metal dividers here. Then we've got the Takobot, mostly granite pieces, you know, the domes, the cylinders are curved walls, pillow for the tongue. The eyes are the, oh, what's it called? The Soul Frost well, where he's holding tacos, and his little belly, I think it's just one of those, it's not Tetris, it's Retris, I think is what they called it. And then for the background, it kind of looks like a curtain. I think it's the streamers. There's two versions. I think it's blue and red, and they may have recolored the blue ones to be more of a black and white. But I think that's why they get this nice thin look here, is using those streamers. His little antenna, I believe, is one of the detonator bits. Over here we have a nice Asian style wall mural sculpture kind of thing going on. I think all of the stones are either Hugels for the green parts, and then for the gray, it's the swirly stones. For the little pearls or spheres or whatever you call it. I think those are called, those are the blue files, the tall file. This part here, that's part of the exotic bookshelf, and they've just pushed it so you don't see the shelves itself. Get a closer look at, I guess these are lions or something. I don't know for sure what's being used for the red eyes. It might just be recolored stones. For the fangs, I think it's glacier pieces. Yeah, it looks like recolored swirly stones for this one, the eyes there. The claws here, those are just those swirly stones. There's like 3 different versions of swirly rocks, I think, or swirly stones, and one of them is kind of on the pointed side, using that for the claws and scales. I don't know what this is. I think it's one of the legs of the heart-themed uh, side table, but I can't say for sure. But amazing work. I love that. Love the look of it. Over here, I'm not sure if this is reminiscent of an existing thing, but it looks like a hand dropping the heart or something. Looks like 2x4s for the fingers, um, cylinders, and then a floor piece sandwiched together to make it look like a heart, and just recolored for the effect. I think this part here, the framework, is the edges of a wall or something, and then they've just got the other walls recolored and set inside it. And again, this marble look, that's the Dominion conference table, if I'm not mistaken. This cowboy bot, I think the same person that made that one is the one that made the taco bot as well. You can see the similarities of the curtains in the back. It's the streamers, and his body is mostly the vent tanks. But you got some of the, I think it's the Chua tech arm for part of it. Um, the eye, I think, is a bowl with an orange window stuck inside, and then a merg dynamite for the pupil. Over here, I'm pretty sure this is Aurora's squirrel painting. Let me get closer. The frame is a bowl, and then I think the the green background is the base of one of the wine bottles, I think. And then there's the dead tree with some brambles to make it look like an actual branch of a tree. The squirrel itself mostly consists of, if I remember correctly, sandbags. Uh, for this part here, I think it's the mop heads. And then for the bit around the eyes, it's spoons, and then vent tanks for the very dark part. And then for the little acorn, it's a sandstone, and then another sandbag, and then another one just the edge of it to make that little acorn top there. Adorable, you know, all these, how people can, piece together this stuff is just crazy. Crazy, crazy. And then in the center is a beautiful horse statue. It's just made out of domes and curved walls and cylinders and such of the granite variety, with, I believe, the tall files for the eyes. Just a lot of pieces to put together to make this, easily probably hundreds At least I know from my own experience of making some of statues of, you know, not necessarily of a horse, but similar things, and it just gets eaten up really fast. For those of us that would love to have like an entire plot as a museum and having like hundreds of works of art, it's just not feasible because unless you purposely say they have to be limited to a certain, which has been done in the past. We had one that set up a museum that they were requesting art pieces, but they had to be 50 items or less. And that's a lot harder than it sounds because, when you get into things like this with the detail and the trying to show the muscle and the different joints and everything, it just quickly uh, escalates in the amount of items used up. Now you'll notice that some of the things, depending on the size, they can disappear. This looks pretty rough around the edges until you get really up close, then the things start to show up the details. Again, that's just part of the experience of working with items of different sizes. Not everything shows up clearly. Now, I don't know what they're using for the floor here. I want to say it's uh, honestly, I don't know what it is. It's nice and shiny. It reminds me of like the Dominion shelf. It has that kind of a weird look to it. They managed to build this and include the bank fab kit, which I thought was kind of fun. Of course, this is those same lights they're using elsewhere here. It's just a little oversized, I think, to make it look a little brighter. Just amazing stuff. But again, I don't know what they're using for the flooring. Okay, so this way next. Okay, we have just left A, Alpha Wing, and we're getting ready to enter C Wing. So we just went through all here, and now we're gonna hop over into the next plot. You'll recognize this from earlier when we took a trip onto the outside. You can see they've kind of made it as if there's more to it than we're actually getting to see by including these faux doors. It's just the ship hand lockers. And I think part of the wall here, I want to say it's either the backs of these lamps or lights, or it's the side of the containers, the metal containers. I honestly am not sure though. Excuse me. Now we're getting ready to leave that plot to visit part of the communal area, but they've blocked it off, so it's like its own little section here. But this is like a classroom, so you've got like the little coat rack here or backpack rack. These bits, I think, is the back of, I want to say it's that one banner. It has two little hookies on it, and they're using it as the little pegs for people to hang their bags on. And then, of course, the bulletin board or the little blackboard here is just a travel poster. Same things here are the ones that they're using for the doors outside. For this little classroom section here, they're using framed glass as the banisters. For the blackboard, again, it's travel posters, and then they've got some of those monitors sunk down so that you don't see the item itself, you just see the animated texts and stuff. Because like the TV here, you can see how it's got a little bit of a screen just in front, and they're using stuff similar to that. Like this, I think, is the I honestly don't remember the name of the item. It's one of the monitors. That's all I can tell you. For the teacher's desk here is just cylinders or tubes. I guess the cylinders are solid. And a dome back here to make it look like a book holder. And then of course I like this part here with the skeletons. A fun way of using it. Maybe they are teaching archaeology here or something. But it's different Arctera bones. Make it look like it's checking out a particular critter. The little water fountains here is a combination of the clunky fire extinguisher, and then I think this part is the bell stove. I'm not really positive on that, but that's what it looks like just because of the coppery look. Here is their library, and this little fancy round table is just a bunch of those Dominion conference tables cleverly arranged in a nice little flower pattern kind of setup. Some of the cases are the magnetized containers. And another classroom about space, I guess. Again, that's the space diorama, dillywhopper, and then you've got the little rotating planet. And this is just, again, it's outside of the main plot, but it's included in a clever way. Now again, this is where we saw the access to the outside. These, I can't remember what these are. I think they're cannons or something. Now you'll see this kind of structure quite a bit. They use it in several places because it's got a lot of these nice little blue lights and buttons and things. So you'll recognize that being used elsewhere. The arrows, I didn't mention it before, but those are the neon signs, the ones with the octopus on it. If you push it just inside, just enough, the octopus part gets hidden, and you just have the arrow. A lot of us like to use it for elevator markings. Some have used it for other types of signs, like for restrooms, or just arrows pointing people to the bar or something like that. Like here you have cover part pieces and then the floor on top of that. I'm not sure what this is. I mean, it looks like like it's supposed to be like some emergency gear or something, but I don't know what the item that's being used to, like it's glass. I imagine it's from some spaceship piece that I haven't used, but there's that. For the little elevator part itself, like there's the graded floor panels. These are the, I think it's part of portable holograph. And then like this part here, I think again is some of that spaceship stuff. Nicely used. Just I can't name all of it. Okay, this one, oh, I think this part here, there's an item. I don't know if it's a medical piece, if it's the scanner or not. There's one that on the base of it, the bottom of it, there's this, looks like a stair scaled ladder looking thing. I think that's what's being used here for this entrance. Then they've got a combination of, which I think that's what it is. I think it's that, it's either body scanner or body analyzer, one of the two. I think we're seeing the bottom of it here, and then you can see the bars. It's that blue electricity part, and then the bronze metal here. Some people like to use those for um, like handles for doors and handles for like refrigerators and stuff. Now the green ones, I believe, yeah, those are the Ichthian laser fences. Just some added color and security, I guess. Then they have the actual working hatch door, which is always fun. And again, we're entering a part outside of the plot, I think, part of it. So again, I think this is part of that scanner bit. And then we've got the, to make the hole, it's two archways sandwiched together. We've been asking for pieces of panels or walls or floors with round holes in them so that we can avoid having to use two pieces to make one wall, but you know, one of these days maybe. So here's a little bedroom thing. Again, uh, the lighting here doesn't actually give off light, but if you'll see how it's kind of goes bright and then it doesn't, I think it's like something possibly like either a ritual candle circle thing, or what's the other item does that? It's the Lop Shrine, I think, is also one of those that has that mesmerizing, pulsating light effect. This here is an actual the treasure map, and they've just enlarged it and then framed it up. This is an actual item. It's a new thing. I don't know where it comes from, if it's a kit. I think someone mentioned that it might be from the Madame Faye goodies. I don't really do that very much either, unless I get some freebie tokens or whatever. So I suspect it's from that. The bed here is actually two couches with sleeping bags for the blanket part, and then the back wall is rolled sleeping bags. The same item, but you got the flat version and then the rolled version. Desk, of course, is a combination of walls and such, with ergonomic keyboards for all the buttons. Looks like they recolored the bread. It honestly looks almost moldy. I don't know what they're using for the innards of the sandwich there. I guess it's a regular sandwich that's been recolored, period. And it looks burnt and moldy to me. These screens here are part of the Red Moon set, I believe. And the little trellis-looking grated window, that's from the Arctera area. It's really early on in the reputation, so you can get it pretty quickly. A lot of people use it for jails and things like this. I've seen a few use it for um, uh, wine racks, um, catwalks, things like that. Nice way to kind of refurbish the Chua picture. You just added some travel posters inside it, and then those little blue strips, again, that's the body analyzer, I believe. Okay, next thought. The bits down here are soul frost piping. I think most of them come blue. so they appear to have been recolored. This looks like a red moon vent. Here you have a couple of the Chua fireplaces. Again, a lot of detail with all of these bits inserted into the bookshelves, which are typically empty. All right, Bones, you have a good time. Thanks for dropping by, and we'll see you later. Here is like a little tool workshop creation spot. I have no idea what all this is, but I love the parts that they put together to make these little machines. I don't know what all of this is. I imagine this is some kind of a new item from Red Moon or something. I have no idea what this is, but it looks like part yeah, it's probably a Red Moon item because it looks like it has like those tentacle bits. But like this part here, those are the L-shaped pipes that you can get from the Palavar Point Daily. It comes with like the sewage pipes and the vertical pipes and everything. And there's the forget what it's called, little open pipe there. This here again, I'm not for sure what these parts are. This looks like one of the chimney items, and then the end cap pipe, and then a ship item that's just been attached here. But I love this part here. This is probably the best part, all the working gears. I don't know what all these are coming from. I know there's some cannons that have some moving items like that. I think this is the dreg windmill. I think the auto cleaning grill has some parts, which I suspect that might be this. Or it could be the same item being used twice and you're just seeing the side of one and part of the other enlarged, that kind of thing. But look how cleverly they've been sandwiched together to make it look like they're running smoothly, connected. But it's like 4 or 5 different items being used here to mesh it all up. This part here is the cellar entrance. Again, I think this is one of those chimney pieces, and then they've got some more of those L pipes snuck in. Just I love the way this is done. This would be great for someone that has some kind of a factory they want to throw in, or some kind of workshop type of deal, and they're looking for some moving parts. Obviously, if you're using it like this, you're going to have it on a prefab wall so that it doesn't hook through out the back, or have it set up in a way that you can hide everything you don't want. But yeah, that's all right, Poya. I don't feel so bad when I mess up like that. And then here, of course, the doorways are the Red Moon circular doors. You've got pillars, I think it's Cassian style. The graded floor panels, I think these are also graded floor panels. This part is flipped around. And then this part for the like the slotted windows or screens or whatever you want to call it, those are the stairs, I think. Here we come into some of the bunk rooms. You see they've got staircase landings for some of the cabinetry above. Desks are just 2 exile tables sandwiched together. Marked dynamite for the handles of the cabinetry. For the bunks themselves, I think it's an actual bed, and they've just sandwiched it in so you don't see the wooden footboards and headboards. Again, graded floor panels for this bit here, and then the lights. For the top and bottom bits, those are the airtight containers. And then some of those Red Moon panels again. And this, I presume, is the bathroom. Got a very simple setup, using a chew cup for the trash can there. For the towel rack, I think it's the edge or end of the medical cot, I think. I don't know what's being used here. I think it's the propane tank or one of the tanks, and they're using it as like the little nozzles. Similar setup here. With KBT, the add-on, it's really quick and easy if you have something set up, and then just to copy it over. If you're looking for that kind of a repetition, a lot of people do that, and then they'll modify it slightly to change the look, especially for those that have like apartment complexes or an inn or something. They'll replicate the room and then they'll modify it slightly so that each one has some different detail about it. But this one looks pretty standard, like Cracker Jack, all the same thing. But I am dutifully visiting each and every one just to make sure. Like this one looks more brightly lit up. So I suspect either it's because something in the room next door is lit up and it just happens to show through on this side as well. On open. Or maybe it's a spotlight up above that's showing through. I don't know what. Yeah, it's this, I think. There's lots of lights. Now, it could be they intended to light up the others and just ran out of space. Or maybe, again, I see it's kind of like pulsating light, so it may be something next door and it just happens to be so bright it's shining off into here as well. You can see, I guess I'm just looking at the tables here. It's just, can't see what the thing is. I think it's just a end of a pillar or something for the base, and then just some framed glass for the table. Hey, Rhoda, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, I decided I've had the long hair for a few years now, and I decided to go ahead and chop it off. Okay, before we progress that way, let's go back to this section over here. And I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this is another Osun house, just based on the way the shape of the door and everything. But it looks like they've dressed it up a little bit differently, using maybe reinforced walls or something. And here's those, I think it's a cannon of some sort again, that they use it in quite a few places. This, I think, is, I think there's either a pillar or a fireplace that has that little vent thing, and then of course the red moon vents. And the stairway, I think, is just the ends of one of the walls. And they just stacked it down. Let's go inside. And let's go to the left first. So you can see again, mostly they're using some of that Dominion walls. I don't know what the lights and stuff are coming from. I honestly have no idea. The lights sort of blink in unison, but not. I don't know if it's one of the spaceship items or whatever. This little sign here, it's a combination of Cassian pillars and then it's the fireworks box lid. Again, if you didn't participate in the Starfall event, make sure you do when it rolls around this year, because you unlock a great amount of very brightly colored, interestingly shaped items. You get rockets and dynamite and the crate box itself and some of the discarded wrappings and stuff to be used, you know, if you're just looking for some extra kind of like debris or trash. We use them in all sorts of ways. I've made food and buildings and paintings and all sorts of things out of those. So they're very versatile items. It's a really good, smart thing to do is to unlock them. But when the Starfall event comes around, I think there's a achievement you have to complete. And I think in order to complete it, you obtain all of the items listed from the event. And once you do, you unlock it, and it's a permanent unlock. Um, but the good thing is, if you didn't get a chance to unlock it, if you know of someone that has it and you set them as their roommate, they can buy the items for you, put it in your crate, and then you can use them on your plot. So it's the same way with any of the daily unlocks for the login rewards. If you haven't reached a specific day, you can request someone to come in that has it, and they will get it for you. Okay, here's a kind of, I guess it's a vendor, weapons vendor, I think. They're using an assortment of, the bombs and swords and things. I don't think there's any custom ones, but you can see it's got, like, I think it's the hover part pieces for a lot of this weird little yellow hazard trim, and then that Osun grating that we talked about earlier. If we can get a close look. The Dominion cannon. This is the Red Moon stool, comes in the Red Moon kit. Some of those Macari tables. Let's keep going this way. There's a nice little, I don't know if this is supposed to be like a bridge or a meeting place, or I'm not really for positive. Again, I have no idea what these items are, all the blue lights. It appears to be multiples of the same object. But again, I couldn't tell you. Some of this, I think, is some of the technophage circuitry. This little stand here, it's the stairs, and then the base is like suitcases. And then you got the Red Moon ropes here. These are the backs of the monitors. They just look like the monitor, but they flipped around so you just see the back. And then this is a Red Moon panel. And then the control thing itself is, I think, graded floor panels. The backs of those. Let's see. I think this is like the captain's chair, part of that. And again, the back of one of the monitors, or a spaceship part. There's some more technophage. I think this is the Dominion Control Center. These two red ones here are, I think it's the Exile tactical table that's been recolored. This part here, I think, yeah, it's a weapons crate. And then some of the other panels, this I think is part of one of the magnetized containers. Same way with these bits here. We have a little private office, I guess. Again, these are the wooden bookshelves, and they've just boxed it in inside the pillars, make it look a little cleaner. Now this particular one, this is the granite version of that hatch. It doesn't actually work, but they're using it kind of like, I would imagine, like a wall safe kind of deal. Again, I have no idea what these are. Looks like something metallic, but I can't tell what it is. But they're using it pretty extensively in this section. Red moon screens for most of the screen up here. This, I think, is, I want to say it's that exile sign, but honestly, I'm not sure. Part of it. Of course, this is the standing screen monitor. And these are the Dominion screens. The Eldon screens. Again, I think a lot of this part here is those portable holograph machines. And then this item, I forget what it's called, but I think it's one of those daily login rewards. So eventually you'll get it if you keep logging in. Here are some more of those technophage tubes. This is an Ichthian, I don't remember what it's called. I think it's got those big tanks in the back. And then this is the Exile tactical table again. It's the same thing being used over there, the red ones. But they've pushed it in so you don't really see a lot of the table. And then they've added the little red lights or dots. I think those are from the early warning system. It's the cage with the canary in it. Advanced omniplasm node, that's it. That's this here. The node. These bits here, I think this is datascape window, but just pushed in so you only see the moving part. I could be mistaken though, I'm not really positive on that. This looks like that red moon light, but with another part over it, so it's probably another version of it from the set. This here, it's either, I know there's some little gadgets here from fence pieces, but I think like this one is from one of the medical apparatus, either the scanner or something. There's one that's got like a weird little panel on it. And then of course you have your lever switches here. These parts here I think are the bottoms of the airtight containers. It's got that white top on it, but I think they've pushed it down so you don't see the white part. Again, I have no idea what this part is, but it's very space agey looking. Oh, yeah. And then we've got this thing here, again, Technophage stuff, and I don't know if this is Eldon or Farside goodies, spaceship goodies that's been recolored possibly. I think this is some kind of a generator thing, or it could be a weapon that they're using. A lot of these, when they are doing all of these mechanical bits, a lot of it is oversized beyond recognition for me. So I have no idea. Yeah, because I think some of this is, uh, I don't know if it's Sulfrost screen or it's Osun. I don't think it's Red Moon. I think it, or maybe it's a combination of the two, something like that. Data escape windows for that weird wall effect. And then, if I'm not mistaken, this is supposed to be like a simulation room, I guess, where you would learn advanced battle tactics or something. That's my only guess as to what this is. There's the Eldon Hollow panels. There's a lot of Eldon buttony looking things. I think some of it is from like, I think the yellow lights are the portable planters. I think it has that one color on the one side. Um, this little light effect here with the rays pointing down, I think those are the uh, communicators. It looks like a satellite dish, and they're just letting you see the little beams. We've seen some folks use it for like their, um, what do they call it? The disco balls at their bars and stuff. I think Katya has at least one version of that somewhere on one of her plots. But this one just happens to choose it so that you don't see the dishes themselves. You just see the little ray that comes out, and it has a little bit of movement because it just rotates back and forth, and they've just got several of them together to make it look like this little laser beam show going on. The bottom here with this animated circle, I believe, again, same way with this part here, the curved lines, I believe it's just an oversized Exile tactical table that's been pushed down so you don't see the rest of it, you just see the little animation that floats at the very tip top. The walls that have the honeycomb pattern, it's either the, it's not moving, so I don't think it's the hovering cot thing or hammock. I think it's the one, it's looks like an antenna kind of thing, and it's got like 2 or 3 panels out. I think that's what's being used for this, but honestly can't say for certain because again, uh, I can't name every possible item in the things, so it's just a guessing game for me. I think this here is that protostar panel, and then you've got this little, I don't know what this thing is. We saw it in one of the other museum pieces where it was the whole little, I don't know, weird artifact kind of thing, and they've just oversized it for this particular use. They've got this blocked off so you can't actually go inside. They've got a piece of glass here. Same way on the other side. This little bit here is just several of those portable holograph things. And I'm not sure what they're using for the big part of this. I suspect like some kind of reinforced wall or something. This one you can actually go inside though. So again, I think these are some of those medical items. I don't know if it's the one that looks like it has a little platform you stand on and it has 2 arms and then a little thingy comes on top. I don't remember the name of it, but I think that's what it is. Because like this is the medical station here. It actually opens, in fact. And magnetized containers here, generator. This is one of the spaceship parts, a vent. Whoops, get over there. Again, I have no idea what this part is. Here's the control panel for whoever's running this simulation program. So again, you've got airtight containers for the base of this. I think this part here is travel posters, and then you've got the backs of those monitors again, ergonomics keyboards, Eldon panels, and then the Redmond one, along with one of those microphones for this. Very colorful, if nothing else. This could easily be, I mean, they're using it as, I think, a battle simulation where you can come and test your skills, but this could easily be modified to be a disco house or some kind of party room. Very nicely done. Trying to see where we are. I think that's it for this interior. Pop back out. Just think, we're still in like the second plot here, and we're almost at our 2-hour mark. There's like a oversized lounge. I think this is actually the entrance to this plot. Yeah. Charlie wing. The couch itself is, I think it's pillars, and then they're using the sleeping bags, the flat ones for the base, and then for the armrests in the back, it's the rolled sleeping bags. For the table, it's framed glass, just done in a little kind of an artistic way. Let's see, not sure I want to go. Let's go back this way first. Trying to walk through the glass, that won't work, I guess. Again, I'm not sure about this. I don't know if it's some of those Retros blocks or if it's the datascape window that's been recolored. And again, I'm not sure about this. It looks like Macari chair just by looking at the wording there. Um, Metal dividers here. Love a little out lounge area. Again, these are the chairs Macari chairs are using for that wall design. Again, you just have to put up with the fact that you'll have it highlighted if you're mousing over it because it is an interactable item, so there's no avoiding it if you're using chairs and benches and stuff in that manner. There's an amazing aquarium. The bubbles, I suspect, are from oversized, oh, what's it called? The clunky fire extinguisher. It's the only one I can think of that has bubbles like that. The jellyfish are, of course, just the tentacle plants. Mossy overgrowth, bushes. Some of these items, like the shells and the little leafy plants here and these green leafy plants, I think those are from the new underwater set that you can get from the cash shop. Same way with this, with the pearl. This is from Shade's Eve, I think. It's one of those poison spore trees. And then the background where you see the flashing like little lights to make it look like it's really deep underwater or something. That's, I think it's the space diorama background again. There's a lovely little bar set for your wine rack. It's just 2x4s. Cutely done. Notice the hanging goblets. They didn't go through the trouble of adding like little bracketry. Some do, but you can get away with not doing it. It's just kind of an understood thing. I forget. I think there's some of those new tanks. I don't know what those are. A lot of technophage bits. There's some of those Elden floaty columns. It's mesmerizing to watch. I don't know what all the bits are. I think this item, that's that same one that they were using in the battle tester area for that little rotating spear in this part that goes with it. But yeah, it's just crazy to look at. Again, I think some of this is that Tetris, or I keep saying Tetris, Retris stuff. Again, I think the base of this is that Exile tactical table as well. This is the Dominion bed, and they just added some pillows and one of the Macari bits to add like a nice headboard to it. I think there's Macari tables and such for this little side tables for the bed. Again, Macari chairs for the wall decoration. Again, for the ceiling, and I think for all of this trim along the floor, I believe those are the Red Moon lights. There's a little desk and library. This one's pretty elaborate, the desk. Magnetized containers just sunk in so you just see the little band. Mailbox, Chewa mailbox for this little bit here. Magnetized containers for these little drawers. Staircase landings and Merc dynamite for the cabinets there. Again, Retris arcadey stuff for that bit. For the fireplace, I think it's an arch with the actual Exile fireplace inset. It's the one that's typically blue, kind of gaudy looking, and most of us end up covering it in some way or another. And then they've got the Dominion pillar set in front. Again, just a lot of little interesting details. Okay, I think that's it for this part here. That leads us back out to the main corridor, I think. Let's see. Guess we'll go this way. Looks like it might be the bank. Got some giant plastic coins there. Yep, little bank teller, and then you got the little waiting line. I assume these over here are meant to be like ATMs. So if you don't want to wait in line, you can just bypass that. But then here's the bank part. Again, using those non-functional hatches. Okay. Go back this way. We're going to go ahead and head into the third plot, but I think we're going to have to wrap things up soon. Was it this way? No. Oh, okay. Yeah, you're here. I think this might be part of the area we saw from outside, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, I think that's where we were standing at the very beginning for the exterior view of the ship, and now we're in kind of the cargo area. Oh my gosh. I think that's what all of Echo Wing is going to be. So we're just going to start here. So like this is one of those daily rewards you can get, and it looks like they've kind of pimped it out a little bit. You've got some added extras to make it look like it's actually a hover crane instead of one that just runs on the ground, because it has those like tank tracks typically, and they've added the holograph bits to make it look like it's hovering. And but the item itself is one of the daily login rewards. Again, if you haven't unlocked it already, you can ask somebody that has to come and be a roommate on your plot, purchase the item for you, however many you need, and then you can unroommate them, and then you have the item in your crate to use. But I think that's a little clever with the vent tanks and such added on to kind of just change it up a little bit. This here, I think it's one of those oversized tanks, and then it's got the magnetized container on the sides for that orange stripe. These bits here, those are the backs of the round portrait. It's the lady that she kind of looks bald or something. And then like this part here, those are some of those Sulfrost tubes. I think these are cannons, if I'm not mistaken. This is apparently supposed to represent the medical area. A little bit here, that's just the card table. I forget what item has this. It's one of the medical things that's got this little, and they've just got it super enlarged, so you just see the little cross. Spaceship window and make it look like a giant door. And then again, this is just a lot of use of those rockets. There's just a bunch of them. I suspect the blue streaky bit is one of those panels, the colored panels, and it's just super oversized to make the animation go a little faster with the red moon bits, and then I think reinforced walls for some of this metal work for the wall. Here we have a little machine craney lifter thingy. It's a cryopod with the tech arms on it. The protostar panels, I think is what they're called. I want to say this is the toilet, but it might not be. It might be a different item. And then, of course, the holograph bits on the back make a strange little hovercraft thing. Maintenance platform, and then not hover, holograph bits. Another one of those protostar panels, technophage tubes. The tank craft, I guess that's one of those items that comes in one of the Dominion packs. This bit here, I think this is the top of one of the medical bits, just oversized, and then here is like a neon sign, I think, something similar. I'm really not sure. The card table again. The little worktop here, that's several of the utility crates. And this is also the yellow utility crate. It's the bottom of it. That's why you see these little foot thingies. The same crate here, it's just you see the bottom of it. They just layered it up. I like using them for buildings and such. And then this is an actual crafting station fab kit that they've incorporated into this with some added mailboxes and other such doodads. Like another lift out. I'll wait to take that. So here's another Osun house. This will be the prefab home for this third plot. And I think that's where we'll wrap it up for today. And we'll pick up tomorrow here in the Echo Wing prefab home. So I want to thank you guys for joining. I hope you've enjoyed the tour so far. Again, this is Crimson Dawn, or the Crimson Dawn community plot on Entity. It was the showdown winner for NA side for the competition that Carbine hosted last year. We are still going through those. Eventually I will try and get through all of them, but it's just going to take some time because, as you can see, the more stuff of custom work that they do, the more chitter chatter I go through and the longer it takes to get through the entire stuff. So for tomorrow, we will start here and we will just keep going until it's actually done. I don't want to string this out to like 3 separate videos if I can help it, or at least 3 separate showtimes. So we'll just do our best to get through the rest of the community tomorrow. So again, if you can't join tomorrow for the live show, that's quite all right. We do upload these to YouTube so you can watch them anytime. Of course, I save them on Twitch too in the highlights section. So they're never lost if you want to catch up on anything that you've lost. If you're just joining us and finding this this channel, be aware if you want to check out any of the tours from the past. There's like literally hundreds of videos, hundreds of hours of tours that we have done. I think we're getting close to the 400 plots mark, if not beyond that already. So it's quite a handful if you're going to try and catch up with this, but I tell you, it's really well worth it because every plot that we visit has something to offer in the way of inspiration. If you're looking for specific ideas about furniture or landscaping or just the theme, you know, how people approach it, textures for, like, you know, just like the walls here, the items that folks use to bring out new ideas, and just the way they put it together. It's just amazing. So yeah, I appreciate your guys' support. Hope you had fun today. For those of you that'll be joining us later, I'll see you guys tomorrow. In the meantime, have fun, have a wonderful day, week, weekend, whatever it is, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.